You ready?
Go ahead, yes, sir.
First of all, I would like to thank everybody for tuning into this segment of the Real Talk Files. We're over here at the Port Arthur Police Department, and as you know, I did promise for the last week and a half that we were going to have the chief of police with us today through some mitigating. Is that the right word? So some mitigating circumstances. We're not going to be, but anyway, this is the Real Talk Files, and what we do is we make sure that we at least bring to you what we say we're going to bring to you. We're not going to be able to bring to you what the chief today, but we're going to be asking some of the same stern questions that we were going to ask then. We're going to still ask those same stern questions. So let's make sure, because everything we do, we try to make sure that it's real talk. That's what we do. And what I want to make sure that you guys know that, amen, I thank them for even coming, saying that he was going to be in. He didn't know that he was going to have an emergency come up at the same time that our program was going to be. And we're all right with that. We'll get him again. And next time we get him, we're going to be a little tough on him. He knows that. That's how we are. That's how we do that, the Real Talk. And another thing is that I was going to have my whole crew here. Where we don't have Dr. Queen here with us, but we got I have Magic Dave. We got Magic Dave because Dave is gonna make sure that I'm in place, the cameras is right, and everything else, audio, everything. He gonna make sure that, and he also gonna ask the right question. Also, I got my very strong compadre and friend, Reginald Trainer. He sets up some of these interviews and stuff like that because I asked for him in March. Reg asked for him for 2 days, and he get them in the same day. Somebody have to. I'm just saying, real talk. That's how he do it. But I'm so proud to have him with us. And what we're gonna do is today we're going to talk about. I was going to talk to the chief about the things that we that we want to know. But first of all, let me get them in and y'all introduce yourselves. Please introduce yourselves and tell them what your department is.
Okay, how you doing? I'm Chief Deputy Jeremy Houston with the Port Arthur Police Department. I'm over the administration division here. Accompanied with me is retired Chief Deputy John Owens. He's working with me on the emergency management side over here at the police department.
As Chief Deputy Houston stated earlier, I'm working as a consultant with the police department. I've worked with the department for over 36 years. So I've got a lot of experience here in Port Arthur, and I hope to impart that in a positive way for the citizens of the city and, of course, the police department.
And I'm going to start with you, Deputy Chief Houston.
Yes, sir.
First I want to apologize to the First, I want to apologize to the citizens out there because we did promise the chief, and we're just going to have to do an impromptu session because the chief isn't here, and we have Deputy Chief Houston and retired Mr. Owens over here as a consultant going to help us out with the interview. And first, I want to start off with how is the morale and the atmosphere has changed since Mr. Tim Duraso was also taken over from the previous police chief, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I mean, it's been very positive here. I've seen that, I mean, he comes in with a very, very positive attitude, and he's working with all of the officers here, and he's involved in the community, heavily involved in the community. So he's really and truly involved with the citizens as it pertains to dealing with issues that they may bring to him as well on a daily basis.
Right, and could you please tell us a little bit about your position as an emergency management coordinator? Can you tell us a little bit about that, and what does that entail, in a person?
Yes, sir. As the emergency management coordinator, I work with the mayor. Of course, you know, we have different natural disasters that take place, per se the hurricane events. I'll coordinate with him, efforts dealing with as it pertains to hurricanes. I also, say if we have an explosion, something like that, I coordinate with the mayor to evacuate different areas of different parts of the city. And also, whether it be natural or man-made, we'll coordinate those efforts.
And as far as to kind of help the citizens get a better understanding, say for instance, like with the TPC explosion,
Yes,
the
sir.
German pellets, does that have something to do
Yes, sir.
with the emergency management coordinator?
Yes, sir. That would deal with me. I mean, of course, if an area needs to be evacuated, I would, you know, that would come down from the mayor, and at that point in time, I would work those efforts. I would, you know, as far as evacuating that area, and also work with that company as far as, you know, doing whatever we got to do to fix the situation here within the city.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that I got you in on this one here. Reginald Trainer had a few questions and he wanted you, then I'll come back after you.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Welcome. I'm glad
Welcome.
you guys are aboard, even though the chief is
appreciate
not here. We was gonna ask the chief, you know, we on the advisory board.
Mhm.
What is all the response to the resistance? And what I'm talking about is like, say that we had a mentally ill person that had to get arrested. How would you guys come to bring him into custody?
I mean,
Let me specify a little bit more. It's different than just a regular arrest. What happens if he's incoherent, he's getting all out of hand, and everything like that? Do y'all have somebody to step in?
yes, we do. Yes, we do. We do have mental health officers in place. We also have contacts via the county, Jefferson County. They have what's called the STAR team that they can send their mental health officer out as well to assist with those situations. But we do have one here locally at our police department here.
Okay. One more, de-escalation.
De-escalation?
Yes. Well, talk a little bit on that.
I mean, de-escalation, that's something that is mandated for all officers to take a course in de-escalation for your license. And basically what that is just, it's never ever the police. It shouldn't be, you know, the matter of the police to escalate a situation. What we're taught to do is to de-escalate the situation, bring it down if we can. Now there might be certain times where you know, it's all predicated off of the person that you're dealing with. You know, now we try our best to try to de-escalate it, bring it down to a lower measure, but if you can't, then at that point in time, of course, you know, we handle the situation how we're trained to handle, you know, those different types of situations.
Okay, one more. Deadly force.
Deadly force.
Let's talk a little bit on that because we've already know with the George Floyd thing, what is in place. Now I had read y'all new union these is good all the way to October. It mentions about the chokehold, all right? Or something about the chokehold, but it doesn't mention anything about the knee. And what it say about the chokehold, they're saying that if the officer feels as though his life is in danger, he can use that. So when we say the chokehold, it's strictly up to the officer, and because everybody gonna say they feel as though their life is danger. So can you elaborate a little more on that?
I mean, our policy, first of all, our policy pretty much states that we can't utilize a chokehold.
Okay.
However, when you're talking about knee to neck, I'm
gonna separate that. I understand the policy. It doesn't really say you can't use a chokehold because it specifies in that if you feel as though your partner is in danger, you can. And of course, you're gonna use anything to your means to protect yourself so you can go back home. So I was asking about. It doesn't specify like it takes it out completely. It just says that we prefer to not to have to use methods like that. That's what that paper says. It don't say that we're not allowed to use chokehold. They don't say that.
Well, I mean, our policy, if I'm not mistaken, from reading the policy, it does pretty much specify that we're not supposed to restrict the person's breathing via, you know, utilizing the chokehold. However, it does state that an emergency situation where deadly force is justified, then at that point in time, of course, you know, when a person is in an all-out fight,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if the use of deadly force is justified, then at that point in time, you can utilize per se your weapon or you
Or the chokehold.
or yes,
Yeah,
yeah, if it's
that's-
justified, it has to be justified.
Okay, so really, that'll be a technique that's really prohibited. Y'all don't
Yes,
advise nobody.
yes. No officer should
Mhm.
at least attempt to put a person in chokehold from the get-go. That's only when deadly force is justified.
Well, let's talk about this one right quick. The knee.
Mhm.
I don't know what the deal is with the knee. Is a soft spot or what's going on with the knee? Because when that boy was hollering about he couldn't breathe, so if if I just say that I'm getting put in custody and I'm screaming that I can't breathe, what is the technique for that? To
At that
keep
point
your
in
knee
time-
on the neck or
I
to
mean,
release it?
no. At that point in time, it should have been that they should have sat him up.
Mm-hmm.
They should have sat him up. I mean, that's what we train officers to do. If he's complaining about he can't breathe, then at that point in time, we're going to sit him up. We're going to get medical assistants out there to come and check up on the person. I think that at the end of the day, the end result is that he was in custody, Mr. Floyd, and at that point in time, he was pretty much possibly going to jail, right?
Yeah.
So at that point in time,
He was
if the
no
end-
threat.
Yeah, if the end result is that he's going to be placed in the car and taken into custody, right? Then he
Put
should
him in
have
the
taken
car.
off the ground
Yeah.
and placed in the car and taken into custody.
Well, that's good. Just got one more. Just almost 2 more. The no knock warrant.
No, not warrant.
No knock warrant. Now, let's just get on that because we're hearing that officers are entering without knocking and this and that. Not to say pro-officer. I'm just saying that these are some things that we want to bring as a bridge that's bridging ourselves between the citizens and the police department. So how y'all work that no warrant? Can you just go in anybody's house or what's going on?
I mean,
with
if you get a no knock warrant at that point in time, you're actually getting that from a judge. I mean,
Okay.
those are really truly only executed possibly whenever we got like let's say for instance a drug warrant or something like that of that nature. At that point in time, they've already clarified, they've done their reconnaissance, they've done everything that they need to do, and brought that information towards the judge, so they know exactly what they're doing. Now at that point in time, no knock is an element of surprise. I mean, so there's usually a high risk that this person possibly has guns or something like that. We've got all the intel and the information stating that, so that's why they going in and with, no knock. It's a surprise entry. You don't want to knock where that person who has a weapon comes out there and starts
Get a-
spraying the
get a
place
jump
up.
on- yeah,
He
yeah,
gets a jump on the officer.
Well, that's why I ask these questions,
Uh-huh.
because these questions come from the citizens,
Uh-huh.
and they be wanting to know. And the last one, and I'm gonna give you back today, the duty to intercede. What about the duty to intercede? Just say like we're a citizen,
Mm-hmm.
and we see an officer really roughing a citizen out there. And we can call the police and this and that, but say the police come and they escalate the whole situation. So now the people feel as though that they can't come out and talk to you because the law is above the law.
You have the right to contact one of the supervisors. You have the right to contact the police department if you feel that that officer is escalating the situation. You have the right to call the supervisor and have them come out to the scene if you feel that that's what's taking place.
Well, when they asked me, I told them, do not approach the officer.
Yes. What I would do is don't approach, but at the same time, contact the supervision. Have somebody come out. I mean,
Well, could you ask that officer, would he bring his sergeant or supervisor out there?
yes, you can.
Okay, and if he doesn't do that?
Then at that point in time, you have of course, with the era of cell phones, you can contact the police department yourself and request for a supervisor to come out to the scene, and they'll respond.
Well, I sure appreciate that. I just want to bring that to you guys because it was brought to me,
Mhm.
and it's my job to come and bring it to you. So I
Okay.
sure thank you guys for giving me a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now,
Yes, sir.
now I'm getting back to some of the things that I need to ask the police department from the people in the streets.
Come on.
Because this is real talk and we're not gonna stop, we're not gonna hold ourselves back from real talk. Okay, that's what we do. This is real talk files. Now, one of the things that they ask me to ask you guys, and I have no problem with asking. They were saying this here, that when you guys come in, or when you guys randomly stop us, randomly stop the citizens, it's always in areas that you normally always stop the same citizens. Say, for instance, I'm talking about around Jimmy Johnson and 9th Avenue. You have 100 different places that all over the city, but that place right in there is one of the places where normally the citizens of Port Arthur gets a lot of tickets at. And they wanted to ask me, well, why is it always right there? Now, could I get any feedback on it?
I mean, if you're talking about the intersection of, which is at 9th Avenue and Jimmy Johnson?
9th Avenue, Jimmy Johnson, off from 73 to Jimmy Johnson, down 9th Avenue. But you know what I'm talking about, around that, what's the name of that little food place?
Stripes?
No. You know that Chevron station, behind there they got a Waffle House, right? Going all the way back to till and all that other stuff. Well, anyway, Jimmy Johnson all the way to 9th Avenue.
Okay.
From 69 to Jimmy Johnson.
I mean, I don't think that there's no specific, there's no officer that's actually targeting,
Back in the day, now.
anybody in that area.
Back in the day, now. That's where Officer Antoine used to be.
Possibly running traffic speed. And I mean, I don't know. It depends on what the actual situation is. I mean, right there at the intersection, you have a red light. You might have people that's running the actual light at the intersection of Jimmy Johnson and 9th Avenue. And at that point in time, if you're getting complaints on reference to that, then at that point in time, at that given time, we had our traffic unit going, and we would have them go out there and look into there to see if we were catching people that were actually running that light. So if he was running it heavy at that point in time, if he was running it heavy at that time, it was because of the simple fact that we had complaints. We would receive complaints about people running the light. A lot of issues that we deal with in reference to traffic is in reference to complaints that are called in via to the chief, and it's passed down to the deputy chiefs to give to our patrolmen or to our assigned traffic officers at this point in time.
Okay, next question. And I'm staying in there. I'm staying right there at that because you know why I'm staying there? It's because with the two ladies that asked me to ask you guys this is because they got tickets in that area. But they didn't only get tickets one time, they got tickets twice in the same area. So I told them, well, I'm gonna ask them about that when I get here to talk to them. So I'm asking you about it. And the reason why she said that the man, the officer didn't give her a ticket, but told her, but gave her what you call those little things, a warning. He gave her a warning. Well, if you give me a warning, why you didn't write me a ticket? If I committed something wrong.
Because what we want you to understand is that a ticket is officer's discretion. This is his discretion to either write that person a warning or actually assign a fine to him. I mean, he could choose to give you a warning, and he could choose to give you a warning, and that's good. Or if he chooses to give you a ticket for that actual violation of the law, that's his discretion. We don't take that away from him. We give him discretion to do his job.
Okay, next question. The next question, Dave, I'll get with you in a second. Let me get these questions from the people. Like I've been to HEB and I go to Walmart and I tell them, and they already know what I'm. So they ask me, well, where you get to ask the chief this? Okay, well, this is what I want to ask. I want to also ask, is and I want to know this myself. Since hiring started, and this is the hiring since the chief started, and that was years ago, to today. We're asking this here, why isn't the level of minority officers ever increasing? Because now we got this data too now. The same data you getting ready to quote to me, we had that data too. Now, explain to me why hasn't the level of minority hiring went up at all?
Well, at this point in time, you have to look at who's actually applying for the actual job. I mean, I'm passionate on that because I actually do the hiring here.
I know you do.
So when you look at the applications that's actually placed in, we don't have per se a high number of minorities actually applying to become police officers. So therefore, that's why you probably don't see an increase in minorities actually being hired on, because we don't have a lot that actually.
Two-part question. Two-part question. Now, this is a two-part question. Most of the people that are hired is not from this area.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's not no big deal, because I'm gonna say why it's not no big deal. I worked downtown LA and I worked in Lakewood, California. So anybody knows the difference, that's a lot of difference between going all the way downtown LA. You understand? It's a Long Beach 7, then you gotta get down Freeman, then you gotta go downtown. So it was a lot, it's a difference. So I was one of them people, but you know, it's also on the RTD. So you're also on the bus plan, and you always get. But the point I'm making to you is this, why is it that we have to, our police department is, should I say 70%? And if that number is incorrect, correct me. People that does not live in Port Arthur?
Well, you have to look at who's actually applying. Once again, I mean, if a majority of the people are from, you take the pool of applicants that's actually applying. That's the only ones that you have to actually. That's the only ones you can actually deal with. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, if we don't have Port Arthur residents actually putting in applications, mm-hmm. then I don't have a pool to pick from as far as hiring them. Mm-hmm. If a majority of my pool is from people that are from around the surrounding areas, mm-hmm. then at that point in time, that's all I have to choose from.
Next question.
Yes,
Dave,
sir.
you can take it from here after I say this. But next question is this.
Yes, sir.
Recently, an officer was fired. You hear what I'm saying? Was fired in San Francisco, California. The same officer got the same job that he had in the Mississippi Police Department. He had the same charges that he left Frisco. They immediately held their hands open and hired him as a police officer in Mississippi. Do we have that same problem here?
No, because I think that our state has mandates. We have rules and regulations as far as on who we can hire. I mean, the state of Texas puts out, if a person has per se a class A misdemeanor, you can't hire. That comes from the state. That doesn't come from the police department.
Ex-police officer in Frisco was fired.
Yeah,
because he got tired of him. So I mean, you have too many discrepancies. You understand where I'm going with that? Mm-hmm. He had too many. An officer, so the police department let him go. He immediately got another job in Mississippi, mm-hmm. as a police officer.
Well, it depends on what background.
See where I'm going?
Well, it depends on what type of background was conducted on them in the state of Mississippi. If did they contact San Francisco, California, and ask any information as it pertains to was that said applicant? I mean, what information did the background investigator receive on them? Those are questions that we have to ask.
I'm gonna leave you on the little thing I gave. I got off the internet. I want you to read that. I'm gonna leave it here for you. Don't worry, I am. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, I appreciate y'all for answering questions again. I want to jump back on what Mr. Freeman said about the actual hiring or whatnot.
Yes, sir.
I want to know what is the reason that the bootstrap program was canceled? And from my understanding, the bootstrap program was supposed to be to get some people that may not necessarily be, I wouldn't say not qualified, but some people that's more based on the community participation. Could you give us some information on why that program has been scrapped?
Well, I was part of the bootstrap program. I was actually hired from the bootstrap program off of that program. I believe pretty much what happened was that the union gave the same amount of points that the bootstrap program was given at the time, which were you were given your residency points, which was what was it, 5 points for residency, if I'm not mistaken. So the union agreed to continue to give them those points as far as for residency, and I think if I'm not mistaken, we still gave you all the benefits at this point in time for being from the city. We still gave you additional credit for being from the city of Port Arthur here. All right, so it was pretty much the same. The union just agreed to incorporate that, bring all of that in instead of just having that separate program. We would just hire you. In the bootstrap program, you weren't guaranteed a job. You were given $400, you weren't guaranteed a job. Whereas the civil service, if you go through the police department, we incorporated everything that bootstrap had, but now we were giving you a job and saying that, hey, you are an employee, you're going to be unemployed with the department. Mm-hmm. So the union just agreed to, hey, instead of y'all doing two separate things, we'll just do one. We'll just hire 'em.
Okay, and speaking about the union, right? From my understanding, the union, the Port Arthur Fire Department and the Police Department union are doing some negotiations right now.
Yes, sir.
If I'm not mistaken, what are some of your top concerns as far as like being a police officer? As far as what's the police union's concerns, and what are you actually looking for in this type of
Right now, I
negotiation?
can't speak on that because I'm, in the position that I'm currently in.
Right.
I'm not actually a part of the union negotiations right now.
Okay.
I'm classified as an at-will employee, so I'm not privy to
Push that to somewhere else.
I'm not privy to the meetings.
We understand it. Understand.
Okay, and also, Langston, there's a news article with local attorney Langston Adams.
Mhm.
He says that, if I'm paraphrasing right, that there should be some language inside the policy that we should adapt from Houston's police department as far as, if I'm not mistaken, use of force and things that should be illegal. Could you talk to, or I know that the chief had made a statement like some of those things were illegal, but do you know that actual language is in the policies?
I mean, the main language that they were talking about was the usage of a chokehold.
Okay.
Which we spoke on that. We spoke on that with Mr. Trainer earlier. I mean, our policy pretty much does state it prohibits an officer using a chokehold on an individual. It only justifies us using something like that if deadly force is justified, and you have to really and truly. I mean, you have to justify that whole thing. You have to write that whole thing up and justify it. You can't just go out there. I can't just go out there and put you in a chokehold.
Right.
Okay.
And the reason why we asked that question about the chokehold is because, as you know, with I believe his name was Eric Garner, the guy that was selling loose cigarettes or whatnot, he was choked with the so-called illegal chokehold. So, that's why.
See that right there, we can utilize that.
Right.
We can utilize that. That's prohibited per our policy.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we couldn't do that.
And now with everything's going on, if I'm not mistaken, President Trump has some kind of another but some kind of program or something that he passed where the chokehold is illegal. But see, it's like it's redundant. We know the chokehold has been illegal from actual departments, and now we have something nationally going on. So that's where the kind of confusion comes in, and why the people is constantly asking of these policies, if they're illegal, why do certain officers get away with it and not being punished, and being punished being later? So I'm pretty sure that has to be like on a specific police department type of issue. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I think that your policy sets up the guidelines and the rules that you are actually abiding by. And I'm pretty sure that if you have a policy that states that your actual department will take the measures necessary to possibly terminate you, and if those actions are justified, you're possibly looking at criminal charges going against you as well. And that policy pretty much that policy is going to assist with those charges coming up against you, because it pretty much stated what that move that you utilized was prohibited.
And if we don't teach it, we don't condone it. And I know I'm retired, but in all the years that I've been with this police department, that's never been a practice. It's never been taught. It's not a defensive tactic. And you mentioned the executive orders from the president. I think the way I read it is chokeholds are banned with the exception in the event that the officer is in imminent fear of his life or the life of another person, then he and deadly force is justified, and that's all he has left. But this police department has never, ever condoned the use of a chokehold as a restraint, as a defensive tactic, as any tactic, ever.
My next, this is what I want to go just to two parts. First of all, I'm going to chastise the chief for not showing up. I'm going to do that. That's just how I'm in. Y'all know me. That's what I'm gonna do for real talk, because I done told my audience that he was gonna be here. Put this on me. Put this on me. Yeah, I'm going to do that because my audience knew he was going. Now, and then secondly, I do not condone no police departments. You know, like you see all these people talking about let's get rid of the police departments and stuff like that. Well, I do not condone it. I have my issue with the police department, but I don't condone that. Because the reason why it's not for me, because I could possibly get out of whatever situation I am on the streets. But there's a lot of other people that actually need the police department. So let me make sure that comes from me. I do not condone talking about let's get rid of the police department. That's not what I'm about. Now, this is what I want to say to you guys, and I hope you understand where I'm going with this. We don't want to have our citizens afraid of the police.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? That's the reason why I opened with telling you that I would love, I want to keep the police department. You see, because we do, you know, they are a need in the community. But you don't want to have your citizens afraid of the police. And then that's the reason why. This is the reason why, and this is where I'm going with that. I'm going with this, I'm going with it right here. I don't want every time the young people, and that's what we have to really get on the side of the police department. Whether y'all believe this or not, and I'm sure you probably know this. If you don't get them young people and tell, I'm talking about elementary, junior high, and high school, if you don't start getting them to say, oh man, the police all right. If you don't start getting them when they're young to start doing that, well, you know, when they're gonna have a mindset with all these different things coming up in the world today, and they seeing, that's young people seeing this, they're gonna have something mentally wrong with them in their head, and all they're gonna think is this here, is that you the enemy.
Well, it starts at home first. It starts at home with the parent. I mean, if the parent, you know, and we have to look at it like this. We have to stop teaching our kids that, oh, there goes the police right there. I'm gonna go get him for you.
Yeah.
To use them as a tactic to scare the kid. Yeah, I'm going to tell that police officer. You know, we want them to understand that we're here to, you know, we want to start at home and teach them that we're here to help them.
Let me pit back on that. I guess it was about 2 years ago when council got together and started an advisory board. And a lot of people really don't see what's going on in the advisory board. But if you look at your everyday movements, the advisory board is making a difference, and this is how it's making a difference, because we're taking the complaints from the citizens, we're getting at a round table with the police department, and we're brainstorming. We've come a long way. We really have come a long way. But I still see some things that we need to do, just like Mr. Freeman was saying, that we need to be more into the community. You know, I remember a time that everybody know they beat officers. You know what I'm talking about? The officer come through the neighborhood and had a dialogue with the people.
Right.
If we can't get that back, then we got unfinished business.
Right.
Because what is it for you to be passing down the street and wave?
Yeah,
You know, it's nothing. But we need to teach the new officers to do this.
That's why I was going
The new
with
officers to do that.
and like you said, see, that's why I was going with that. See, mothers and fathers, or if you have mothers and fathers in the home, see, they be saying something like, oh, I'm calling, but they be playing as they're the police. See, cause I know my little nephew and them, they say, they call their mom, they call their mama the police. See? See, that's how they do it. What I'm saying is this here. When you guys go to the schoolhouses, you know, it's a different thing when the police came to our school, it was always for something that happened. Somebody that broke in Lincoln, somebody broke in Carl, somebody broke in. See, that's where I'm going.
But these officers are out there because now they're in the schools. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know, they patrolling the area but I would like to see them
I
in the
understand.
grocery stores.
I understand.
Not because they're coming to arrest somebody.
Yeah,
But
develop that
they coming, just like you
relationship.
say, we need to have more of them live here in the community while they're making groceries. You know, they're some of our church members, you know.
Right,
That's how
right,
we're gonna
right.
get our kids to not to see fear.
Yeah, see,
They're
cause,
not to see fear, but if they only see you when
'Cause
something
see-
happens, then that's where the problem comes in.
right, cause see, Chief, this is what I'm saying. I talk to little kids. See, you guys, you know, every time I go into the store, and I go a little bit more than you because I'm now getting feedback from Real Talk Files. And I be going there and talking to different guys, and I talking to different mothers, talking to different children. And I be saying, well, you're gonna be able to get so much short, you know, the children say, and I ask them, cause you have a police car right outside at Walmart. I said, you see that police car? I'm gonna run. Why you running? You ain't gotta run from that police car. That's me telling this child that. You see, now this child is this tall. He's talking about when he see the police car, he wanna run. We can't have that. That child gonna grow up in his
Because
mind.
that's what they see.
That's
They
what
see
he
it on
see.
TV
See?
and everywhere else.
See, so now, this right here put off. See, so when you see this and stuff like this, when you see a child this tall, talking about you running away from him, I said, you got come on, let me go walk to you over there by the police officer. I said, he was getting ready to run from me. And the guy just started saying, no, you don't know, but he did it right. He said, man, you gotta run from me. Anything you need, I'm gonna help you with.
Our police department actually encourages interaction with the members of the community.
I'm hoping.
We tell
I'm
our
hoping.
officers, we teach those officers while in training that they should go in the neighborhoods and actually interact with the community. That's the way how I did it. I'm born and raised here.
Well, I know it.
So I know
Yeah.
the people within my
know
community.
it.
I know how we would,
I know,
how we're
bro.
supposed to interact.
He was open. Yeah, he was coming.
With that, see, I could piggyback on what you were saying, because I've done ride-alongs. You know, I'm talking about with the officers. You see what I'm talking about? I've met shift changes and heard the dialogues you were saying, you know. But it's always gonna take a few to not to do what they need to be done. You see what I'm saying? And the reason why he say kids are scared, because they watch too much TV. They play too many games.
Yeah.
You know, and all they see is when the police come out,
Yeah, everybody taking off.
Everybody think I'm running.
everybody running. If you're not, you're gonna wind up having a knee
Right. See,
on your
so-
neck. And that's not what that's not the image we want.
And that's why I'm saying that, Chief. I'm passing this on because that's how they talk to me.
Real talk.
Sure.
That's real talk. They talk. That's how they come to me. They tell me this. So I'm putting that on you because I know that you could possibly pass this on.
Oh, and it will be passed on.
You know, and it's not me talking. This is what they say. It's not my words. It's their words. And like I started when we started the program off, and we always do. This is Real Talk Files. All we want to do is real talk. We hoping that you can bring to the audience real talk.
That's what it will be passed on to.
See, because you really don't want them children to, over at Walmart looking at the police like sideways.
No, we don't want them to be afraid of us.
See, that's real. You don't want them because if you're gonna grow a whole different you're gonna grow another generation looking sideways at the police officer.
Exactly right.
When they this tall here, looking like that, or scared to go over there, I have to bring this little boy over here to the police officer because he was actually scared.
Well, are there any programs coming up to get our youth involved, or just to know the officers? You know, like a lot of times we like say Juneteenth, you got the fire trucks, the kids can play at the fire truck. I really never see nothing that the police have besides let them sit in the car, you know?
Well, of course, we have for the programs. We have the Explore program, which is headed by Lieutenant Chan.
Okay, what's that program about?
Well, it's Police Explorers. Basically, what it does is there's a group of kids between the ages of, I believe, 17 and 18, high school students, that they actually come here on every Tuesday.
Okay.
I mean, it's probably a group right now.
Let them know.
Probably a group of
They're doing
20.
all kinds.
Probably a group of 20.
Okay, and what, yeah.
And basically, what you're doing is you're molding these guys. You're making them familiar with the police department.
That's
And you're
what we
molding
need,
them, and most of them actually apply as future police officers and or dispatchers here with the police department. So the Explore program works. We also have Blue Santa, where we're reaching out. Well, we give to the community every Christmas year.
know
We
that.
have National Night Out.
Well,
We
hold on.
have
That Blue Santa, how do that work, and what ages that they give those gifts?
I don't know the exact. I think it goes all the way up to the age of 12 or
Well, that's
13, where you can actually receive the gift. But it's
And who do they
simple.
need to contact around that time?
Well, during that time, what we'll do is we'll put out an application. We'll
Okay.
put out a date and an application for the citizens to come here if they are in need of help during the holiday season. We have the Blue Santa program available to assist the citizens within the community. And during that time, there's a lot of interaction with those officers that are part of that program. I mean, us interacting with them as we give them a tour, we're talking to them with
That's what I'm
hugging,
saying.
shaking hands. I mean,
That's what I'm
there's a
saying.
lot of time to do that. You
That's
have
what I'm saying.
trunk or treat that we do
Yeah.
every year
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Halloween, where we actually host that at the Civic Center, where we giving trick or treating gifts and stuff like that to the kids.
Yeah, well, I
So
know
there's a
that.
lot
I
of
was
there's a
there
lot of
last year.
different programs that's headed by Sergeant Biden, Major Reed Rowe, and the Criminal Investigations Division that assist with all of these different types of programs.
Well, that's why I want to
available
ask
for
you,
the-
so you can
within
let the
department.
public know that it's more than just getting the kids to sit in the police car.
Right,
Yeah.
These
right,
are some programs
right,
that
right.
the public
Right.
needs. That's
That's-
I mean, there's a lot of
That's why I want you to tell them.
we have quite a few community outreach programs, and those officers that's actually assigned to that unit is going to be officers Sergeant Biden, of course, Officer Mike Hebert, Officer Sadie, and Officer Sadie Guidry. I mean, they're huge into our outreach program here within the police department.
Dave, you got something on the go?
Yes. Now, I just want to put some balance back in the why that there has like some conflict with citizens having conflict with police. I'm pretty sure, as you all know, the history of police came back way when they were doing slave patrols. When black folks was running away slaves, they went all the way back, and police were used to actually capture at that time white folk property. So which was slaves. So. And I know I believe they used to, when I went to the police officer, the Citizens Academy, they had a little sketch, but they took a lot of history out. I wish they would have put that history back in so people can understand, citizens understand the historical impact to it, because you have to have the historical impact to actually understand some of the issues on it. And I just want to put that out for the balance. And I want to know, what are some of the how was the race relations are now? Because I know we had a few years ago, we had some police officers and had some incidents where putting things on social media, talking about Reverend Al Sharpton, talking about Obama, Michelle, even the one lady act like what's the white lady that said she was black, Dozier? I forgot it. She had a hair looking like Michelle. I forgot the lady that people kind of make fun of being black. I want to say, and also they had an instance where they had some signs in the police department, one where they had colored folk and where they had whites only. I think the cells, that's what it was. The cells had colored folks and one of the cells had whites. So displaying some of the things that's been going on through the police department. How is the race relations are going on now? Is it better, worse, or the same?
I would say that, to my concern, I haven't had any complaints come to my desk since I've been put in my position as deputy chief. Nor have, the deputy chiefs along with the chief, we meet quite frankly to discuss what's going on between our different divisions, and we haven't had any, anybody bring up any complaints in reference that dealt with race-related issues.
Mr. Owens, you've been here, what, 36 years?
36.
Okay, now you done been here a long time.
Right. In my experiences, and I started here in early '84, even when I was in training at Lamar, we were taught, and I know this sounds like a cliche, to be colorblind. That in order to be successful, and this is when I was a training officer, my training officer taught me this, is that if you want to gain the trust of the community, you have to be colorblind, and you need to be empathetic and understand that, you could stand there all day long and try to say, I know how it feels to be black, or I know how it feels to be Hispanic, or Asian. You know, the Asian community, when I first hired on here, had just started settling in Port Arthur. So there were some
76.
obstacles that we had to overcome there too, but it's fundamentally important that a police officer understand that if he expects an African American person to believe him and trust in him, he's got to gain that trust. He's got to earn it, and if he can't earn it, he's spinning his wheels. So it's very important to understand there's going to be some distrust. There's going to be some obstacles, but we're problem solvers, and that's what our job entails. To me, if you don't have the ability to communicate to anyone at any time in any situation, you're not going to be a very good police officer, because communications, that's and you know, this sounds again cliche, kind of corny or whatever, but we're supposed to protect and serve. We're not supposed to go out there and look at, and this has gone on for the 36 years I've been here. You know, we've been blessed in this community for the most part that we haven't had any extremely serious strife that you've seen in other places. And I think a lot of the reason is because we relate to the community. And if there is a problem, we hit it right between the eyes and try to solve it then and there. And to me, as long as we protect and serve, and arrest is a last resort, I've been a proponent of that. You know, you may go into a call as an officer, within 30 seconds of that call, realize that you got to do what you got to do. You may have to put someone in jail, but you don't go in there with that mentality that I'm going to go in there, you know, I've got a quota, I've got, you know, that's a bunch of, excuse the French, BS.
I got a question. I got a question online.
It's important that we do.
Go ahead.
Got a question online. It says, the police department has no real communication with the citizen. What do you mean about the communications with the citizens?
I mean, if the complaint is that we don't have communication, then at that point in time, we need to be more vocal. We need to reach out and answer whatever questions or concerns. Answer whatever questions or concerns that y'all may have of us. I mean, we are here. We are available to you 24/7. So if there is any concerns or anything that you need to know, please feel free to either you can contact me, you can contact Chief, you can contact anyone here at this police department, and we will be available to you.
And he could contact our board.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and it's personally my opinion that when y'all had the previous police chief going on, what's his name just blew a brain freeze. Yeah, Patrick Melvin. I believe when it was my opinion that when you had Patrick Melvin and Brian McDougal, it was an actual attack on the police department, from my understanding. I believe it was an actual attack on it and some of the personnel on it. How has the department suffered from losing all of those offers, either being forced out, going through some court situation and getting their jobs back and coming back on? How did that, forcing them to retire, intimidation, and other tactics, how did that have an effect on the force, having a whole fresh new officers on the force?
Well, I mean, just like you said, we lost a wealth of experience during those times. But I can actually say that we're currently right now we're on a rebound. We're actually building. We're actually building back up at this given point in time.
Chief, I got one more question. I got another question for you online.
Come on.
It says that if you call 911, why are you talking to a tape recording?
Well, I hadn't heard of that complaint.
But I don't call 911.
Yes, I haven't heard of that complaint. There shouldn't be a tape that you talk to. You have a live operator that should be answering the phone and it's getting the information to that live dispatcher where we can get out there and respond to you in a timely manner.
All right. And now, Chief, You know, I told him it was gonna be, I was gonna keep you guys out and stuff like that. And I'm gonna stay strong to that. Dave, you got another question?
Yes.
Please
I
ask.
want to know,
Yeah.
during these protests, Black Lives Matter movement and all these other, groups coming in from out of town protesting or whatnot, and there's a lot of people that are now down with the Black Lives Matter movement, actually criticizing the Minneapolis Police Department for what they've done. How can we as Port Arthur citizens actually trust everything that we're saying, that we disagree with it when the Shane Lyons situation that came out, not too many people was commenting on that. And I'm not saying that the officer is 100% wrong by using deadly force, but my question is, could there have been some other measures being used before deadly force? Again, I'm not saying whether the officer is 100% wrong on that. I can actually see a case for that using deadly force, but could there be some other things that have been done before deadly force has been enacted? And yeah, that's my question. And how can we trust what the chief is saying, that we're not going to do like Minneapolis when we don't talk about our own stuff at home?
I mean, I'm as far as with, I mean, the only thing that we can do is we can give you the information, we can bring it to you, and we can ask you guys, to trust in our decisions that we're making out there, and trust and believe that it's the right decision. For the most part, I can tell you right now that our officers have been thoroughly trained on de-escalating situations. We have been, we discuss a lot of these different force scenarios. We have sims machines and everything that brings you through different force situations. So our officers are well trained to deal with any type of situation that they're coming in contact with. So at the end of the day, as far as with the citizens, it's all going to be that it's all based on, predicated on the trust that they have of us, and when we come out there and respond, that we're going to do the right thing. We have not. As far as me personally, I don't feel that we've put ourselves in a position where the citizens should not have faith in our decisions as far as what we're doing. And I think that we need to continue to build upon that amongst our citizens, that we continue to build that trust and faith that we're going to do the right thing.
Okay, let me just go ahead and streamline that question a little bit, particularly with the Shane Lyons situation. The camera that was on the car, right? The camera that was on the car, that view, you seen that a person in front of them, and they also had a person behind them that was walking, and the only person that seemed like their life was in danger was the officers that was actually fully armed. He was fully armed, trained with lethal and non-lethal weapons. And even after the officer shot Mr. Lyons, you heard the young lady right there say, you didn't even have to do that. In your opinion, I'm just asking your opinion, nothing legally binding or whatnot, do you think that officer, by the time Mr. Lyons walked down with the machete, however so long, could he have used different tactics like a stun gun or any other type of belt weapons that non-lethal weapons that they had? Just in your opinion.
I'd have to really truly, I hadn't viewed the entire incident, to really truly speak on it, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
So I hadn't, I hadn't seen except for what excerpt from the news back then.
Right.
I really truly wasn't in a position at that time to view it, and still haven't seen it.
Right, and that kind of goes to my question. How can we believe when the police department says, hey, we're not going to do that, we understand that was bad, this situation in Minneapolis was bad, we're never going to do that, we stand with the people, but when we don't really take the time and, by your words, investigate our own major issues. That was a major shooting, from my understanding, from a while back.
But at the same time, that shooting there was actually an investigation going.
And it was an independent investigation by the district attorney's office.
So you gotta understand, as far as when that case, it's an active case, that don't just get administered out to everybody, you know, to view, you know, to view, you know. So it didn't come our way because it was actual investigation going on.
Right, just like the Minneapolis thing, you know, it's being investigated right now. It's under civil and criminal, you know, legal things right now. So
And federal.
yeah, and
State
federal,
and
federal, legal, civil. So you know, it's under investigation right now. So you know, that's an open case. People, you have the videos out now. People seeing it. People's actually giving the statement. People going across the blue line saying, "Hey, that's wrong. We're not doing that. We're not doing this. Isn't here. This is completely wrong." And that's why I was asking. You know, when we make a statement like that from, you know, Port Arthur and our chief and our mayor, we are saying this. We don't agree with that. We stand with Mr. Floyd down in Minneapolis, but we are silent. We can't really speak on our stuff. That's the main question I'm having. You know,
The
we
one
just
thing about it,
don't
David,
really.
anytime it's a killing or shooting, it's always gonna be something that we could have corrected. You see what I'm talking about? That's how we learn. That's how we keep growing. But I just wanna take a few minutes to tell everybody that as the chairperson for the Chief Advisory Board, I see growth. And I'm not just saying it because these guys are here. They are willing to work with all the citizens, not just a few citizens. But a closed mouth won't get fed. If you got something that you wanna talk to an officer about and can't get it, you got an advisory board. You could call me. I get up with Chief Houston or Durso or either Mr. Owens. But to be silent is not hurting. So we cannot continue to sit around the breakfast table complaining when we don't go out there and do nothing about it.
I would like to thank both of you guys and I appreciate you for taking this time to, Ms. Owens, you know, much respect for you. Your 36 years mean a lot to me.
Well,
I
thank you,
appreciate
sir.
that.
It's
I
been my
appreciate
pleasure
that.
to serve.
And you going that way.
Come on over.
I want you to get your 30 at least. But anyway, guys, I want to make sure that I thank those guys for coming in and helping us on the Real Talk file. I am still going to get the chief because he done promised he's going to be on here, and he will be on here. And but I don't have all my crew with me. You know, this is a little my crew. We don't have Dr. Queen. You didn't show up. You're supposed to be here today, but you didn't show up. We're not gonna be mad at you. Well, we're not mad. Glenda, we didn't show up. Eddie Ray, I know Eddie Ray wasn't feeling too well, but he didn't show up. But I'm just so glad that you guys came. And man, these guys took time out of their day to come help me and come. We interviewed, and if there's any other questions you need, they open. That door is open.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Our doors are open. Doors open to you anytime.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
their door is open to come in and talk to them. If it's a question that I didn't get to, I tried to get the online questions also that was coming in at the same time. But say this is the Real Talk Files, and we're gonna try to get everything we can to make sure that we talk to the right type of people. Next Friday, I won't be on the program. Somebody else will be hosting the program Friday, but that's no big deal. He's very versed in everything he's going to be in and everything he's going to talk about. I have no idea what he's going to be talking about.
Me neither.
Well, y'all heard it. He don't even know what he's going to be talking about. But anyway, guys, I have to make sure that y'all know that I appreciate the Chiefs for doing this for me and coming on. He explained everything he could very well, and I appreciate it. I appreciate Reg for making sure that he was with us today, because he had some good questions too. But I want to make sure that I thank you. And if I need you again, I want you to come on again.
I'll be there for you. I'll be there.
Thank you.
That's real talk.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.